Picture a deep network before a single training step has run. Every weight needs some starting value. And here's what most people never realize. That one choice can decide whether the network learns at all. Set the scale wrong, and the signal either fades to nothing or blows up as it passes through the layers, and training simply never gets off the ground. So how do you pick a starting scale that keeps the signal alive all the way down? That's the puzzle Xavier Initialization solved, and the answer is beautifully simple. Let's dig in. So why does this choice matter so much? Compare a careless start against Xavier, side by side. Pick an arbitrary scale for your weights, and depth turns against you. If the values are a little too small, the signal shrinks layer after layer until it vanishes toward zero. A little too large, and it compounds the other way and explodes. Either way, by the far end of a deep network, there's nothing useful left to learn from, and the same thing happens to the gradient on the way back. Xavier removes the guesswork by scaling the weights to the input and output counts of each layer. It holds the variance of the signal constant from the first layer to the last. Nothing fades, nothing blows up, and gradients flow back just as cleanly. So even a deep stack of sigmoid or tanh layers trains reliably instead of stalling. So how does Xavier actually choose that scale? Let's walk the reasoning one step at a time. Start by counting connections. Every layer has a number of inputs feeding into it, the fan-in, and a number of outputs it feeds forward, the fan-out. Xavier looks at both of these because the signal has to survive the forward pass, and the gradient has to survive the journey backward. Here's the actual rule. Xavier sets each weight's variance to roughly 2, divided by the sum of the fan-in and the fan-out. That single fraction is the whole trick. It balances the forward and backward directions at once, so neither one dominates and neither one starves. Now draw the weights. You sample them randomly from either a normal or a uniform distribution, scaled to exactly that variance. Nothing exotic here, just random numbers of the right spread, computed straight from each layer's own connection counts. There are no extra parameters to tune. And here's the payoff. With that scale, the variance of the activations stays roughly constant as they move forward through the layers, and the variance of the gradient stays constant flowing back. The signal neither shrinks toward zero nor blows up, which is exactly what lets a genuinely deep network train. Strip it down, and 3 ideas capture Xavier Initialization. The scale comes from the connection counts. Xavier sets each weight's spread from the fan-in plus the fan-out of its layer, balancing the forward and backward passes with a single, parameter-free formula that needs nothing tuned by hand. It holds variance constant across depth. Because the spread is tuned to each layer, activations keep a steady scale going forward and gradients keep a steady scale coming back. So signals survive all the way through a deep network instead of dying or exploding. It's the default for saturating activations. Xavier is the right choice for tanh and sigmoid layers, where the function is roughly linear near zero. For ReLU, whose rectification has the variance, initialization, which uses the fan-in and a factor of 2, is the proper match. All right, let's lock in the essentials. Xavier Initialization, also called Glorot Initialization, sets a network's starting weights so the variance of the signal stays constant as it passes through the layers. The recipe scales each weight's variance to roughly 2 over the sum of the layer's inputs and outputs, balancing the forward and backward passes at once. That keeps activations and gradients from vanishing or exploding with depth, which is what made deep sigmoid and tanh networks trainable back when Glorot and Benjo introduced it. Its one limit is the assumption of a linear-ish activation, so ReLU networks reach for initialization instead. If unpacking the ideas behind deep learning, this clearly is your thing, a whole library of them is waiting at standarity.com. Come learn with us.